Okay, in this teaching worksheet, our focus is actually a brand new formula called change of base formula. After you learn this formula, whatever that you learned in the previous two teaching worksheet will be piled on. So meaning, right, the law that you learned in the previous teaching worksheet will be added together with the change of base. And the logarithm equations that you learned previously will also be added in with the change of base. So whatever strategy or whatever things that have been done in the second teaching worksheet will be repeated here, but now you'll be faced with different base. Okay, if you still recall, in the law of logarithm, okay, when I was going through the law of logarithm, the condition for the law of logarithm to work will be same base. So the condition for law number 3 and law number 4 to work must be same base. So the base must be the same, the coefficient must be a 1. So that was what has been discussed here when I was introducing you the law. So right now you're going to see the situation where the base will be different. So when the base will be different, then you couldn't use the law. So you cannot be using law number 3 and law number 4 if the base is different. So in order to come back to the law, you need to make same base. So that's why they introduce you the change of base formula. Essentially, there's only one formula. Okay, but I put it here as two formulas. So let me do a simple explanation of the formula first. Okay, so this is a generic log. So you choose a log that you want. So what log? Okay, so what will be the base that you want? Okay, so I use a star. So let's say the star is C. So you wanted a totally brand new base. So you started off with base A. So you didn't want that. So you didn't want this base. You would like to get a base C. So when you like to get a base C, okay, you become a fraction. So when it becomes a fraction, this is the heaven. This one will go to heaven. This one will go to earth. So the heaven is on the top fraction. The earth is the bottom fraction. So it's something like this. So you create a heaven and earth. So that's exactly how the formula works. But in order for the formula to work, you must know what base you want first. So you didn't want certain base, but you must know what base you want. Okay, so in actual fact, right, this formula, there's a second formula here. If you look at the second formula, so do you realize I swapped the position? I swapped the position. So in a way, this formula also comes from formula number 1. So I will try to show you. So sometimes you will like to change the position of the base. So sometimes you wanted to swap this up. That means, right, you wanted your base to be B. So if you wanted your base to be B, so you do a log BB first. Okay, and then you do a heaven and earth. So while you do a heaven and earth, you look at the numerator. You look at the heaven. This one is exactly your rule number 1. Log BB. So that is a 1 over log BA. So essentially these two formulas are the same. But to make things simplify, I actually write it in 2 ways. So generally we'll use the formula number 1. It can change to any base that you like. For formula number 2, it's more like when you want to swap the position. Okay, so this is the heaven and earth. So I will usually call the change of base as a heaven and earth formula. Okay, so with the heaven and earth formula, it also helps you to punch calculator. Okay, so let me show you an example. How does it help you to punch calculator? So for example, here, evaluate. Evaluate means you got to tell the value. Well, you couldn't tell the value because in your calculator, you are restricted to the common log we discussed this before, there are only two buttons on your calculator. So it's either base 10 or base E. So your calculator can only process these two logs. So I couldn't process a log 8. So in order to process it to a numerical value, I need to do a change of base. So there are two ways of doing a change of base. So I would like a base 10 first. So I would like a base 10. So you create a heaven and earth for base 10. Then this is the one that goes heaven. This is the one that goes earth. So you create the heaven and earth, and then you can punch calculator. Okay, so then you can punch calculator. So you get 1.23. Okay, so of course, if you want to, you can also change it to base E so that you can use the other button. So I would like it base E. So create the heaven and earth first. So this will go heaven, this will go earth, and then you get a ln 13 over ln 8. So again, you punch calculator. It should give you the same value. So no matter what, whether you decide to change to base 10 or base E, you will get the same value. So that's how one of the use of change of base. So it helps us to evaluate any log that we want instead of just the log 10 and log base 10 and log base E. Okay, so recall the law of logarithm that we need same base, then we can apply law number 3 or law number 4. So in the situation where you see different base, we couldn't use the law. So you need to change it to same base. So the whole idea is only when you come back to same base, then you can use the law. That's why we will need this change of base formula. And the change of base formula also help us to evaluate log by changing it to base 10 and base E.